Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. WrestleMania 40 is right round the corner, if the corner was about a year-long drive away, and could potentially be the biggest show WWE ever puts on for WrestleMania, hence why it's called XL. It's finally getting into the bigger size clothing, really, isn't it? Terrible joke. Probably going to keep it in. But let's look at the main event. Who could potentially be a main eventer either night 1 or night 2 of WrestleMania 40? There are as many names it could be. It could also be some returning names. So I've concocted a list of people that could potentially main event WrestleMania XL. Let's talk about it. First of all, let's get the obvious one out the way. Roman Reigns. Oh, what a shock he is on this list. I mean, he's probably going to be dropping the title to Cody at SummerSlam, but then again, Cody could just be consistently buried because, he did destroy a throne, and we all know who's in charge of the company right now, but he could still go into the main event of WrestleMania as the Uwu champion. It wouldn't be a shock. They like racking up his numbers. He still is a big draw. There is two obvious picks for who he could be facing, which will come later in this list, pretty much the next two, but this could be the time he loses the titles. Hell, he doesn't even need the titles to fight one of the people on this list. Next up, another obvious pick. It's obviously the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes. He's currently on a redemption arc, which we can blatantly see is kind of styled around John Cena after WrestleMania 28, especially that he's going to be going up against Brock in the first pay-per-view after Mania. This could be the end of the redemption arc, and who perfect for him to fight but Roman Reigns? He lost at 39 due to shenanigans, and this time he could actually pick up the win, because it did feel slightly quick that he was getting back to the company and then instantly thrown into the main event scene, especially when he had such a substantial time off injured after tearing his tit. He could also be the champion going in. I mean, there's plenty of good contenders that are also on this list. One of them could be Seth Rollins. Obviously, these guys are due to fight forever. I mean, we all know there's a little beef backstage between the two, but they have the respect. They can work together very well. We've seen it. And if we held off the rivalry until Mania 40, it does give a lot of substantial time away, so it doesn't feel like Cena and Orton consistently in each other's paths. Next, let's talk about the most electrifying man in sports entertainment, and I guess Hollywood, because he doesn't really do sports entertainment anymore. It's The Rock. He obviously said he wasn't going to be taking part of WrestleMania 39 because it didn't give him enough time to train. Have you not seen yourself, Dwayne? If it was due to a little bit of cardio, you had like 3 months from your last movie to get your cardio up. You could have probably done a 15-minute match against Roman, but still, he could be back for 40. Triple H also said in the press conference post Royal Rumble, I'd like to say that it could happen also. The door is always open for The Rock. If he does come back and fight Roman, I don't think there needs to be a title on the line. Dwayne beating Roman for the title, especially when he just jet back to Hollywood like Cena did, I don't think that really makes sense. Plus, I'd see Roman going over in any circumstance just because he needs to be defined as the head of the table. Rock's probably going to be done after that. It'll probably be his last match. He puts over a guy in his family, and there we go. Off to the races with Roman. Let's talk about the women who could potentially headline. There are two names especially that I definitely think are going to headline one of the nights. The first one of which is obviously Bianca Belair, the EST of WWE. She is on an absolute tear. Almost feels like John Cena back in the early days. There is also a little thing called a streak going on at the moment where she has been in 3 WrestleMania straight in a title match and won. It's very impressive. I don't think we've seen this ever, unless Hogan? Yeah, I think Hogan's the only other person that's had a little streak, but Bianca doesn't look like she's losing this streak anytime soon. She could go into the match as a champ, or she could even go in as a contender. I mean, either way works perfectly for her, really, doesn't it? Because probably going to win regardless. Unless you line her up against the next person, Rhea Ripley. Now, we've already spoke many times on this channel about how Rhea and Bianca are obviously going to come to blows. We even saw it on the Raw after WrestleMania when Rhea and Bianca confronted each other and they said they are going to do this. Whether it's at SummerSlam and they unify the titles, or whether they keep this going and keep hinting at it all the way to Mania. Bianca finally lose the title and then win the Rumble and then challenge Rhea, or vice versa, I guess. But then I don't see them doing a 2-time winner with the Women's Rumble anytime soon. It's always going to be a big match on paper, this, because I don't think they've actually collided apart from at the end of the Rumble where they both debuted on the main roster. Someone in the comments can tell me that. This only works if both people are continuously pushed and continue to be over as hell, but you keep them separate and they can both grow organically to make this one of the biggest women's matches ever. Next, we're going to talk about Gunther, because he is on like every list everywhere because everybody loves him. He's consistently brilliant. His Intercontinental title run is awesome. I don't think there's been a run like this ever. Like, you can argue, yes, but Honky Tonk Man and Macho Man Randy Savage were longer than Gunther. Yeah, but both title reigns weren't as good as this, were they? It wasn't consistently, sorry Sheamus, banger after banger after banger, which then leads me to how we get into the picture. Do we lose the title roughly around December time? So then when it gets to the Rumble, we have him win and go and challenge potentially Roman or potentially Cody Rhodes. Or do we have him win the Rumble but still as Intercontinental Champion? We then lead into WrestleMania 40 and have Gunther versus whoever is the top champ in what can only be described as Warrior Hogan at WrestleMania 6. Winner takes all. And we have Gunther win. That would be so awesome. It'd be nice to have this kind of fight again. Like, WrestleMania 6 was huge because of the stipulation, plus the guys who were involved. It would still be nice to see Gunther take on Roman or even Cody. For the next entry, I'm going to do a double one. It's Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Now, I don't think they're going to be in a tag team match. I don't think they're going to be tag team champions by this point. I can see them losing it in the next couple of months. But I do think they're going to fight each other. I feel like they're both so over on the main roster where we can see them split up and have a rivalry that goes all the way to Mania. Whether it's Sami turning or Kevin, let's be honest, it will be Kevin Owens. It doesn't matter. They will have killer matches. They have had killer matches everywhere they've ever been. NXT, in Ring of Honor, in PWG, it doesn't matter. But if you added in a cheeky Universal title or the WWE title, it'd make it all the more sweeter. Plus, Owens has main evented night one of WrestleMania 2 years straight now, and I feel like we need to keep this going. The guy keeps performing and closing the show fantastically, whether it was with Sami against the Usos or against Stone Cold Steve Austin. Never thought we'd have ever seen that, but hell, it was bloody good, wasn't it? Let's talk about Brock Lesnar. He's one where if he's not in the opening match, he's going to be in the main event because we all know how he works. If you're not on first, you're on last. And if you're not on last, you're first. You get it. There's many cool matches he could have. I don't see him fighting Roman. I don't see him fighting Cody because obviously that's where we're going right now. We could obviously see him fight Gunther, but there is the talks now that that's going to be around SummerSlam time. Shame. It would be a banger and probably better than the triple threat we've just had. But I also think it could be his last Mania. He's kind of in that position where he is just putting over talent. Like, you can argue, no, he beat Omos, but Omos looked good during that match. You can't argue this. Like, Dave Meltzer rated it 3 stars. Yeah, it's a bit ridiculous. But they went into that match, both guys, and they did what they wanted to do. If he is to go, there is plenty of people he could give the rub to. Now let's talk about someone mentioned before. Let's talk about Seth Rollins. How the hell has he not main evented a WrestleMania yet? He, for so many years, has been a top star in this company, and he has been carrying Raw for absolutely bloody ages now. It's become ridiculous that he hasn't had a thank you as in a title that isn't a mid-card title. It doesn't do anything to him putting it on him now. I mean, obviously you could argue he's been in a main event match because of WrestleMania 31, but it wasn't his match. He was inserted into the match with the Money in the Bank. He needs to be given a match card screen saying Seth Rollins versus who the hell for whatever title in the main event of WrestleMania. The obvious pick here is Cody Rhodes. Like said before, Cody could win the title and then defend it against Seth. Seth could beat Roman and then put the title in line against Cody, and it'd be a great conclusion. Yet obviously Cody beating Roman is a big deal. You've also got to think that Seth Rollins was the Triple H guy back in the day, and Triple H is still fond of him. He puts in the work. He's been a workhorse for that company for so long, from back in NXT. Triple H would be dumb not to put him in the top match on the biggest show of the year. And finally, you guys might not like this one, Jey Uso. Jey Uso has been on an absolute tear since Roman came back at SummerSlam back in the pandemic days. There is one story Jey Uso fits into as well, and that's beating Roman. The whole thing started with him. The whole Sami Zayn thing went on, and the story was between Sami and Jey. Currently now, we're looking at Roman kicking the Usos out of the bloodline, but the story's all been centered around Jey. What if Jey Uso fights Roman Reigns, doesn't have to be for the title because Roman might not have it, and Jey wins? It's the end of the story. It's all done. Jey Uso is the new tribal chief, even though that's a ridiculous ending. It might seem a bit of a left pick, but it's not a bad choice in the slightest. So there's my thoughts. Who else would you like to see in the main event of WrestleMania 40? Leave them down in the comments. I'd love to hear who you think. We could even do another video on this. Remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps out in the long run, and I obviously really appreciate you all for doing so. And I will see you again very, very soon.